Right. So recently I've been seeing a lot, I mean for a while, but recently I've been seeing a lot more from you around this product you have called NewzDash.
Yes.
Can you tell us what that is?
Okay. So I'm a product guy at heart, right? Remember, I used to develop products back then in the old days, and for every company I worked for, I developed a ton of products. So 5-6 years ago, I contacted every single tool provider out there. I'm not gonna mention any names, but all the ones that you think of, right? And most of these providers, I helped them, provided features into their tool set and stuff
also,
like that.
Also, you didn't contact Web Position Gold from 1998.
Oh no, unfortunately I did.
Okay, all right.
But so they all love the idea to have some kind of an SEO tool specific for publishers, but no one wanted to take the step. The market is very small and narrow. They're targeting more broader market, right? So I said, if no one wants to do it, let me do it. So I started about 6 years ago, started putting some reports. Back then it was mainly Google News, and slowly I started collecting more and more information from Google News, top stories, trends, and put them all together and said, maybe it's a good product to push out there. So we sold few 6 years ago, and then I stopped, just few clients, and then back last year started again in January. And last year alone, I think I got maybe 20 clients.
Wow.
So I have 5 of the top US publishers, and what I'm trying, it's just try to help. News is real time, right?
Right.
So it's completely different from keyword research to even rankings. Most of the tools out there, it was hey, you ranked for this keyword 5 days ago. Awesome, okay. And they don't provide you much information about top stories. So I'm trying to tackle the void, right? It's all the gaps between the tools, mainly for publishers. So it's again passion.
Right, and you're a product developer.
Yeah.
And the way you guys think, and I'm kind of in that space too. Rusty Brick is a software development company.
Yeah.
I build stuff for my company that I think is useful for me that's not out there already. And it's hard to find that, but you know news so well, and you know those gaps that are not in Google Search Console, not in all those other tool sets, which you're not going to name. But you kind of fill that gap with it. And I haven't really played with it much. I've seen screenshots and stuff. I'll be getting a free beta soon.
Sure, absolutely. Consider that.
It's on camera. But yeah, I do actually would like to take a look at it, because I find what are those gaps? I don't really know, and I should know, I shouldn't admit I don't know, but I don't know a lot, to be honest. And the main thing that SEOs, especially on stage, when you see them, they think they have to answer every question, but they don't. I mean, the more you don't know, the more you can learn. And that's one tip for people who are watching that are new. Keep learning. That's all that really matters. What else does it do that you think is people, what give me 2 gaps that really fills in?
Sure. So I was actually tweeting about this yesterday. So it was a great article by Tom. Tom, forgive me if I forget your last name, but it's not my last tweet. The tweet before that is he wrote an article. He started tracking New York Times, how they update all their headlines on the homepage. So I said, okay, this is interesting because there's 2 types of headline changes, right? There's headlines to drive engagement on the site itself, right? CTR, you test with promo headlines, I call it promo headlines, right? And see is if I change this headline to be this, and instead of that, I'm getting more clicks from my own site, right? To the articles, from landing pages, homepage, and so on. So he was tracking that. And I said, oh, in NewzDash, also there's the concept, and very few people do it, is to do an A/B test for headlines that appear in top stories, and do they make an impact or not? So I was showing screenshots.
Impact how? Ranking or impact click-through rate?
No, rankings. Okay. Right. If we say rankings impacts click-through rate as well, right? It's
we can't say that. We're not allowed to. No.
So CTR is not a ranking factor. It doesn't impact anything, right? So what I'm saying is, I was showing some shots. Is because we crawl top stories every 15 minutes.
Right.
I can see if the headline made a difference. I'm not saying it's the sole factor here, taking everything else constant, is you can see, oh, I did that change and I have seen my rankings go up or down, but there is so many other factors. So this is one of the things, is because you can crawl so frequently, you can see how top stories are changing and so on. The other thing also is trends, right? So a lot of news SEOs and publishers, I was oh, we're all on top of trends. And I was usually asking this question, is okay, So how frequently you go check trends? It's like, oh, I looked at it this morning.
This morning when I'm drinking coffee, right?
Okay, so I said, okay, do you know that Google offers 2 types of trends? It was like, oh, okay. So there's daily trends and there's real-time trends. And daily trends are like the really, really top ones, right? Or like they don't change often, right? And most likely this is what you're looking for. And most likely these top trends already trended.
They're stale, yeah.
10 years, not 10 years
a year,
ago.
probably a day ago.
Yeah, right, within 24 hours,
Yeah.
right? This is the period of time. But real-time trends is like the real one, right? So I said, whatever you're looking at, it's a snapshot in time, doesn't reflect actually what's happening. So what I try to do is like, again, track all these trends all the time, the real time, and give an aggregate view. Oh, this trend appeared for the past 4 hours consistently, right? In that position and so on. So, and we estimate that this is the search ranking for. So I try to do that as well to give a true picture of like what's trending. And the last thing is like, one of the hardest thing is like for niche publishers, right? So for big publishers who write about everything, okay, you have a plethora of information from trends, from Twitter trends and so on. But let's say you write about something
like SEO, right?
Like SEO, right? Exactly. Like SEO, golf, iPhones. I only write about iPhones or whatever, right? So what we do is I'm able to collect the top stories in any specific niche.
Right.
So you tell me I care about iPhones only.
Right.
I will collect the top stories, and if there's any entity related to iPhones, right? So I was talking to someone, I was like, we only write about coronavirus, it's a new blog, and they say, oh, okay. So I show them just nursing homes, masks, vaccines, all that stuff. I can understand the relationship between all of this. So it's not for me like searching for coronavirus. It's like I understand the connection between all these entities. So these couple of like cool features that we have.
I'm looking forward to taking a look at it. Sounds amazing.
I will take you up your word.
Just Google NewzDash to find out more information, right?
Yes, NewzDash. Yeah, with a Z.
With a Z.
For the lack of S. So.
Cool. All right, let's move on to AMP, because every news SEO loves talking about AMP. So I heard rumor by tomorrow at 8 a.m. all AMP is going to be gone from all the sites.
I just got an alert from Google.
But no, it's going to be in May. But
it's in May, yes.
Right, the page experience update.
Yeah, with everything else, like, you know, let's cram it in May. Yes, it's a big topic, right? And you see SEOs are like either in this aisle or this aisle, right? For me, I'm like indifferent, to be honest with you. Whatever works for my client.
Right.
It's like, you know, this is the beauty about SEO, I feel, is like, you know, it's about the moment, right? This is working right now. Author rank, okay. Yeah, I'm not gonna trust you next time you tell me something, but if it's working right now, I'm gonna utilize it. I'm not gonna wait another 6 months to a year to evaluate it, right? So AMP, you see SEO community divided. I agree with most of the people saying that like creating a whole different language that's not standard, forcing people to adhere to certain rules and so on, it's not the best approach, right? And giving advantage to certain sites that have AMP. But at the same time, it was a great help to publishers. Like publishers traditionally, most of the legacy publishers, their sites are very slow. Most of the publishers have over 300 external calls within their sites on a single page, right? So it was a help to the user to have faster pages. Now, when May come, here is my recommendation, because I get this question from a lot of people. So May comes, disable AMP, and we're good, right? I wouldn't do that, right? I would start a phased approach, a test approach, right? First thing, I would recommend to test on your evergreen or residual traffic from news content. So after a story is published, wait 7 days and disable AMP. And let's see if there's the residual impact of the content, the new content that you write, keeps on bar with AMP or not, right? Then move to the next phase. Select a section in your site, right? And let's say it's a medium traffic section,
right?
And only disable AMP on this, right? And start looking at how is it performing, right? Do you need to enhance the core web vitals? Speed is an issue, right? And see how it is. And then progress slowly. Now, I believe, and I asked John Mueller this question, and I did a poll on it. I believe Google is comparing AMP for sites who have AMP to sites who don't have AMP, the mobile pages. So the core, the CVWs, right? CWV.
Vitals, yeah.
Yeah, right. I think they're looking at the AMP pages for that signal, right?
They're looking at whatever Google will serve up to the user.
Yes, yeah. which is their cache, right?
Right.
And their cache is way faster. You take the same page, you go to your AMP page.
Generally, yeah.
Yeah, right. So if you disable AMP, it's the level ground is like the playing ground is not leveled, right? It's
Right.
like because you're comparing your mobile pages if they're not fast enough.
Right.
To Google, but Google came to Google AMP cached AMP pages, right?
Right.
But Google said more and more over again is like they're not going to be a huge impact. So I don't know.
Google's somewhat to blame, but SEO agencies are like, clients, we need to work on your core web vitals because Google says a paid experience coming out. But at the same time, Google's like, it's not gonna, relevancy is still gonna trump everything. Although Trump lost, but still gonna be the most important thing. But core web vitals, yeah, it matters if it's like a tiebreaker, like HTTPS when it launched, didn't make a difference. But everybody switched over to HTTPS. I can name mobile interstitial penalty, didn't make any difference from what I saw, or very little difference. I mean, the announcements that Google pre-announces, seem to have the least impact on rankings versus the ones they don't announce, like core updates and Panda and Penguin.
Yeah.
So I find that to be somewhat humorous.
I think the key in what you just said, tiebreakers. If you're a site that is completely very competitive, fighting for money key terms, right? Fighting for position 1 and 2, right? For an industry that AMP appears a lot and mobile is used a lot.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely, you should care. But you should care in general, but it's not the panic levels that we're seeing right now.